All right. This lesson is about identifying the structure. We're going to go through the charts and identify the structure. All right. And I'm going to do this in probably a 5-minute time frame. All right. So what I'm constantly, when I turn my computer on, I want to know what kind of structure am I in. Can anybody identify this structure right here? This whole area is a structure. The structure is, I can identify that immediately, can I? This is an uptrend.
And it's a wave.
All right, and I got 1 wave, 2 waves, 3 waves, 4 waves. So just scanning this, just turning on my computer, I can say, where am I at in the structure? All right, I'm sitting right here. Where was my last low? Right here. I mean, this is at this point right here, right? I know at some point in time, I just turned my computer on and this is what I see right here. I'm going to be looking for a higher low, which had happened here. And then I should break this out. So this is the area that I'm looking at trading when it gets there.
Because did you say that was 2 lows there then or not? Again, I forgot.
Well,
or 2 highs.
Yeah, this was a double top here.
Yeah.
But I know even if this continued going up, let's say when I turn my computer on, this was still going up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say, all right, I'm in an uptrend. This is already going higher. I'm going to wait till it forms the low. I know it's going to form a low. I'm going to wait to see how strong the sellers are, and then I'm going to see about getting in to join this structure. Over here where we're at right now, here's my structure. I got a trend line across the tops. I got support down here. This is in a descending triangle. I'm not forming higher highs and higher lows, but I'm forming one kind of, I may have drawn a line in here, but where this is at right now, I can tell that I'm in a descending structure. When it was just Tracy and I, we were identified some flag patterns, all right? But
Can you go back to the one you were just doing before this?
The flag pattern?
No, this last one you just were talking about before. So
this one here?
Yeah, where was the one before? Oh, right over. Where you said if it kept going high, like when you turned your computer on?
The uptrend when you were at that second wave and you were showing the higher low.
Well,
I had a question about that.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, the one to the right, I don't know. You said it like you said, if you would have came and it would have, like you turned your computer on.
Yeah, so
and if it was going up, are you going to wait for a pullback or how
Yes.
long do you wait to go up?
Well, first of all, this is where I turn my computer on. This is what I saw.
Yeah.
I see angle and separation in this, and I literally do this with my eye. See, where was my last low? Essentially, that was this. I turned my computer on right at the high. The low is down here, right? I know I'm going to form a low somewhere between here and here. Somewhere between here, if it continues in that trend, it's going to form a low.
Right, but you said if it was still going up, you might get in there.
No, I would not.
Oh, okay, that's what I.
If it was going up, I would wait until the high ended.
Yeah.
And then, so let's say that it went up and the high ended up here, right?
Yeah.
I turned my computer on, it was still climbing, and then it started to form my low. I'd wait to see where the low formed.
Right.
All right, so then so as I'm looking at this, I've got a high here, I've got a low, I've got a high, I'm waiting for the next low to form. And once this is confirmed, it was kind of confirmed in here, it wasn't coming back.
So that was a little bit of consolidation. When it went down, did you wait because there was no engulfing candle, so you didn't get in right away?
Yeah.
Like at the bottom there?
Exactly. That's exactly when you identified the engulfing candle before, you said, well, you've gotten in there. If this candle here, was a big candle like this, like an engulfing candle, then I would have gotten in.
And it just would have went up and down a little before going up.
Yep.
And would you check other time frames as well, Frank?
This tells me, yes, I would, Mari. I'd look at like my 1 hour to see if it's, if it's in, this is definitely saying, all right, so you can do the same thing here. Here was my high. Here was my last low, right? On the 1 hour. This is my last low. If I get an engulfing candle out of this area here, although it's 8 o'clock at night or 7:30, I would be tempted to see if it would go, if it's working its way out to form a new high. But since I trade smaller time frames, I just want to do this with you girls on the 5-minute chart, just so you can see if you can identify the structures.
Thank you. That's cool.
Where am I at right now? Right as we said, we just met in a room. Where are we at right now in this chart here? This is gold.
Consolidation.
All right, look at my moving averages. I'm not interested in
Flattened
trading.
out.
I'm not interested in trading this. All right, so let's go to the next one, 5-minute chart. Where am I at here? I'm in consolidation, right? But my last low, there was a low, right? Here was like my last high, and right now I'm just going sideways. But this tells me that the tendency is going to want to be to come up and see if it did. It came up to test this line. So, but I'm trying to just identify what type of structure am I in. And am I in a strong structure? Because I only want to trade when I can identify the structure. I'm in. I gotta get rid of this scrolling here. So visually, I'm looking at my moving averages. They're moving down. I had a low here, right? I had a high here, but I'm not in a trend here. I'm in consolidation here, but it broke and formed a new high, right? Cool. Now I'm waiting. I'm interested in buying because I've now started an uptrend. I formed a new high. I'm waiting to see how low the low comes. And then there's my engulfing candle right there. You see it, Tracy?
Yeah, that's a beauty.
Yeah.
That would have been a buy for me because I'm already starting to form higher highs and higher lows.
And you would have bought or traded after it quit, or at what point when you started going up?
I probably would have been interested in trading when it took this top out right here.
Whether it was the end of the candle or not yet.
Yeah, even if it was just a big, I would have been sitting there with my finger on the button at the break of that high.
Right.
But immediately what happened? It went into consolidation, right? But my stop loss and my risk would have been based right here. Oops. All right. And it never did come back and challenge that.
Right.
And
So that would have been a scalping opportunity.
yes, on a 5-minute chart. If I turn my computer on and I saw this type of stuff, right?
So that was only what, about an hour, and then it started to come back down?
This one here.
Yeah, where that engulfing candle was.
Well, that's a 5-minute candle. And then it didn't climb any higher. This is a miniature flag pattern right here. There's my flagpole. Right? There's my flag.
So if you would have come in when the flag was there, if it would have been an engulfing candle at the end of the flag, that's when you would have got in there, huh?
Well, that's what's tricky, Tracy, about a 5-minute chart is because things are a lot noisier. I mean, the patterns are still there, right? But let's just follow this through. I formed a high here, right? There is my high. And the low, this was my last low. If I'm doing this, there's a high, or there's my high, there's a low. Look, see how strong these candles coming down where it took this out.
Mm.
That if you've ever heard me say the structure has been broken, this is a broken structure. This should have come down and it should have formed a low into here before it continued up. That would have been the structure if I was in a nut trend. Once it took this out here, the structure was broken.
Mm.
Right?
Interesting. And Frank, like, it's something that Tracy was kind of saying she picked up on, but the moving averages, the lines crossed as well at that point.
Yeah, right here.
So would you say that's also kind of like a second confirmation to you that the structure has been broken, or?
It is if you're a moving average cross trader, right? That would have been significant. Yes, it would have been.
Interesting. Okay.
Because I'm literally I could use this as a trend line, as a moving trend line. That's what moving averages are really nice for, is they're dynamic trend lines. Instead of a solid line, they're dynamic in nature. But let's follow the trend down. So this came all the way down to here, so I have a low, right? I don't know what the heck it's going to do because the structure was broken. I'm waiting for a new structure to form. And then it formed a high right here, right?
Right.
So
And are you kind of just waiting at this
not
point?
yet. I'm just waiting because now I want to see a structure that I can recognize is going to, all right.
Okay.
But what I do have now is I have a lower high. Do I get a lower low? Keep in mind, this is on a noisy 5-minute chart, all right? I'm just trying to show you how even on a 5-minute chart. So I formed a low here that was lower than this low. I'm now in a downtrend structure. The structure has been formed. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
So I actually went from here to here. To here. To here. There's my structure. Can you see it?
Yep.
Mhm.
So now what am I waiting for? I'm waiting for it to form a lower high than this high here. So now I recognize my structure. So what am I waiting for? I'm waiting for, I know here now that I'm going to get from here, I should get a lower high. Now this lower high could be anywhere between here and here. It could have been clear up here. This is when I get my Fibonacci's out. It could have moved up to here and still been within structure. The sellers are still in control until it takes this candle out. The sellers are still in control. So I don't know where this high is going to form. I don't know that this is the absolute high until I get like these engulfing bars coming in. There's an engulfing bar, Tracy. All right.
Mhm.
And the momentum itself looks like it's going to take me past this low, which it did. This would have been a great move.
Mm.
Now, is that only because the engulfing bar went past that low?
Yeah.
Because there is that
Well, this bar
engulfing bar to the
took
left.
out this bar took out this entire structure right here.
Uh-huh.
Where,
Could have waited to get in until it passed that low, yeah?
If I wanted to be safe, I could make my entry at the break of this high.
Mhm.
All right, and then, so it comes down here and it does this, and then it starts to go back up again. I'm still, if I start getting like an engulfing candle off of this, I just close the trade. I just close the trade. See, it's not doing, I would have expected some follow through in this. All right. So as we're going through here, what do I have down here? I've got a base down here, right? There is my last high. I'm expecting a lower low than this, and it forms a double bottom, right? So my structure did not complete. Structure is broken. And now I form a higher high than this last time. I may be setting up for an uptrend now. That's how my mind's thinking. All right. Am I going to form a low down here and start going back higher again? So it takes this high out, which is a change of the structure. And now I'm waiting for a structure to develop. I no longer have higher highs and higher lows. This structure has been broken. But it starts completing itself. It starts completing itself when it comes back down to here. And I'm basically in a triangle now. And I get a shallow pullback here. So now I've got a lower high than this high, right? It could have come down here and I wouldn't have been as anxious to jump on this because it's already tested this. It's already tested this support once, twice, 3 times. I would not have expected it. I would have expected it to bounce off of this.
So would you have gotten in when it went below it?
Nope, I would not. Because I would assume because of this action here, here, and here, that everybody's stop losses were sitting down here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would have said, all right, if it does break below here, all they want to do is pick up the money that's below here to go the opposite direction. So a lot of times when it breaks a structure like this, it's just long enough to grab the stop money before it shoots out the other way. So this would not have, I would not have been interested in shorting this when it broke this line. But I'm going to just kind of scroll back here, see if you can see this structures forming. Can you identify this structure here? And forming higher highs and higher lows.
Uptrend, up.
All right, and then
Double top?
what's this here? This is a break of this structure right here. Now, I don't know if I'm starting a downtrend here, you know, with this. So now I'm looking at my highs and my lows. All right, so here was the last low. I can confirm this because this is already printed. And here's my, and here is my last high.
Are those double tops or are they too close together there?
Now, it would be considered a double top. But I want you to see, can you see where the structure broke when it went lower than the last low? This structure was broken. So now I'm waiting for a new structure to form. Now, when this low formed here, I don't know that it's going to come up here and form a lower. I don't know that it's going to form a lower high and then continue down. I have no idea, but then I get this big move here up into my major resistance point, which was up into here. I know that sellers are sitting up here wanting to start moving it down. So as I'm looking at my charts, I'm saying, all right, just looking, this is now a downtrend, right? I'm waiting somewhere in this move down. I'm waiting somewhere to see the buyers show their hand somewhere. It doesn't have to be a major up, but when the wicks start, if a candle comes up and wicks start driving it down, I know that sellers are starting to come in and then I'll find a break of the low.
So you want to wait to get in there until it broke that lower low, not that engulfing candle at the top after it started coming down.
If I see something like this, Stacy, that I can tell now, I mean, I had this new structure, there was my high, there was my pullback, right? And then it just tanked from that point on. I can get in this move anywhere I want to. Anywhere I want to, I can hit the sell button. But I say my stop loss has to be based above this high.
That's because you had it tested it, it had a pullback, whereas the one higher up there, that big blue engulfing candle, that really couldn't tell you anything because there was no pullback yet, right?
Well, this told me it was setting up for a short right here because I knew that there's a lot of selling pressure up here at this. This is a 4-hour resistance line, right? And I had this move down, and then the buyers coming up could not go higher than this. That's getting pretty aggressive. But when it failed to take out this high and then it started to tank, I would have been shorting in here.
Mhm.
And that just comes from, that's why we're going through this exercise is as you scan through these things, can you just see the structure? You know, what is it doing? I'm in a creeping trend down here. I can draw my trend line. It's pretty shallow because look at my moving averages. There's not a lot of angle on them, but I can draw a line across the bottom. So I would mark this and say this was the last. Well, there's actually several highs in here, and you can see they keep dropping, right? But then I get down to here. And this happens a lot. You'll get one big last final push. This candle here. All right. And there's not enough selling to come down and take this out. I'm looking to see if it'll break this high.
Frank, when looking at those moving averages, what does it say if they're close together or farther apart? If they're, pretty equal or whatever, does it matter?
Yeah, it does. This is a 50 moving average, and this is a 100. All right. So this is the price over the last 50 candles. This is the moving average of the price over the last 100 candles. So the further that they start to separate means that in the short term is what's dragging the long term up. So this is leading this. So as this goes up, this is following behind it because it has to cover more. It has to cover more candles. This is covering 100 candles.
Oh, that's why to the left where you have the line, the yellow moving average is below the other line and it was pulling it down then, huh?
That's correct. So the order, if the yellow is below the white, is trending down. And if the yellow is above the white or whatever, if the 50 is above the 100, because you may want to make these colors anything that you want to. But here was my high, all right? Let's take this structure here. Here was my high. This is obviously my low. This is already printed, right? Do I know that this is going to take this top out? I don't. Matter of fact, it got up to here and actually formed a double top. But this is significant to me. So I have a double top here. There's a high. There's a low, and this was a news announcement. You can tell by the size of the candle. So I wouldn't have been trading before the news anyway.
So if that wasn't news though, and you had your double high and it didn't come down to the low.
So if it broke this, I would have waited for a retest here and then I would have bought. Now, what do I mean by a retest?
Mhm.
All right, let me explain a retest. I'll retest to you. I recognize my structure. I'm in an uptrend, right? When it breaks a high, about 80% of the time you'll get a small candle that comes down and touches this. That's a test candle before it continues up. When it breaks this high, a lot of times in this pattern, you'll see this, and you'll see a move down before it continues up. Not always. It depends on how strong. If this is an engulfing candle, sometimes it's just, you let the horse out of the barn. But a lot of times, once it breaks a high, you may look for a small retest candle, but I know that the momentum is high until it takes, I know the buyers are in control until it takes out this low. So when I form my high, if this was my last, if, you know, let's see, how do I do this? This was the low. Trying to draw this backwards now is difficult. This was the low. Should have been here. Well, let's say that the last low was here. So this was the last low, and it formed a higher low, right? And my structure begins. This is the pattern I'm looking for. I'm looking for this completes my uptrend structure. Because now I can draw my trend line across. I got to have 2 points that I can draw my trend line across. So I'm looking for a move, I'm looking for a shallower pullback, and I'm looking for a break of this first one. And now I have started my uptrend structure. So I want to hear from you now as I go through. Let's pick a different chart here. This is a tough one. Oh, by the way, ladies, too, the last couple of days have been really hard trading. Really, because the daily movements, only like the euro today moved 46 pips. So when it's a really narrow range day, trading off the 5-minute chart gives you an idea of the structure, even on a low pip day. So let's take the Japanese pairs have just been going nuts.
I'm
All
glad
right.
you mentioned that, Frank, because it did seem like it was a lot of like
It
consolidation
was
going on.
hard. It was hard trading today because tomorrow is when the major news comes out.
Right.
So usually when you get
I have a question regarding the moving average. You use a smooth or the simple moving average?
either one,
Oh, okay.
I think these are exponential because it's like training wheels on a bicycle. That's all they are.
Oh, those are exponential? What
Yeah,
you said? Yeah.
Yeah, these are exponential. All right. So
Okay.
what kind of structure are we in here?
Consolidation.
Exactly. But it's also price came down. Price came down from here.
Flag.
This is a long flag pattern is what this is. Now, normally, if you're going to be trading in consolidation, trading from the top down, if the price came from here, although this action is called level 3 action, and I'm at the very bottom of where price has been for a long time. All right. So this may be the very bottom of this down move. So I wouldn't be surprised if it starts moving up.
But normally with the flag pattern, you expect it to go in the same direction.
You expect it to go in the same direction.
It's basically like an indication of where the consolidation is going to go.
That's exactly it. And if this goes on for days and days and days, you know, you can trade a flag pattern, but you know that your best trade is going for a continuation down. So you'd be trading off the top instead of trying to trade from the bottom. Now that changes, like let's say all of a sudden tomorrow the market starts moving and I get this, and I come back and test this. Where would you get in?
If it starts to bounce back up,
Yeah, where would you get in?
as soon as it bounces back up.
So you could get into the
Oh,
here.
it'd have to break the high and an engulfing candle probably.
All right, so there, this completed This completed the first phase of my uptrend structure. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So now what am I waiting for? This moves up. What am I waiting for?
I guess I'm not patient enough.
All right.
You're waiting for another lower.
I'm
low.
waiting for it to form a
I
higher
mean, a
low
higher low.
than this low. And if I get an engulfing candle off of this, I'm in.
Okay.
This is where my engulfing candle becomes very important to me because engulfing candles are formed by a lot of buyers getting in the market at the same time. So if I got an engulfing candle here, even if it didn't take this top out, I'm in. Because I'm identifying my structure. Do you understand what I'm trying to get through on this identify the structure lesson?
Mhm. Yeah. Patterns. When to get in.
It is a pattern, and they form, Laura, I can't tell you, they form all the time. You just have to be patient and say, all right, I can see what it's doing. I can identify the structure.
It's just like we say to our spouses, you're so predictable. I know exactly what you're going to say.
And that's the beauty of this. It is predictable. That's the beauty of it. It does the same things over and over and over and over again. It does exactly the same thing. So once you get to your recognizing the patterns, all right, now what do you have here? Let's take
Can
this.
I ask something back at the other example? You don't have to go back there, but so you had the baseline, what is the bottom line called? The resistance or
Yeah, the bottom is support. The bottom is support.
support? Okay, so the support line, it broke above the support line and then came down and hit the support line again and started going up. So you didn't get in at that movement. You're waiting for it to come down and make a higher low.
All right, so here,
So
let's
how come that rather than waiting, than getting in when it bounced the first time?
you could get in it the first time, but you have no confirmation. I mean, like, let's say this move here, you
Yeah,
had your high, you had your lower high, and then then you got your engulfing bar, right?
yeah.
I would have probably taken that trade. But the structure isn't complete. The complete structure is this area here. Because now I had a high and I did form a low here, but this low was higher than this low. And look at the engulfing bar off of this one. That one I would have taken. Because I had confirmation that I'm forming higher lows. And I would have expected to form a higher high. But now you can see the structure. So you can see it. The structure was basically, it wasn't actually broken because it came down to, which the structure is still intact unless it takes this area out. So there was my high, there was my low, form my higher high. This is a warning right here. The failure for this to actually form a new high, and then it took out that would have been this whole thing would have been a break of structure. And now I'm going to sit back and see how the structure forms again. But I only try to look for things that I have a really high probability that the structure is going to continue. And the structure is either a trend up, a trend down, consolidation. And here's the different types of consolidation patterns. And this should be in the Stephen videos. You have a triangle. Makes a high, makes a low. It makes a lower high, makes a higher low. This is what forms a triangle. You have a descent, and this can break out either way, but it really depends. If you put a flagpole on this, it's probably going to break out to the high side. You have a descending, this is a descending triangle. So the buyers keep getting weaker and weaker. Usually this will break out to the downside. That's a descending triangle. you have an ascending triangle, and if the flagpole for this was this, then it's got a naked shot of breaking out of the top. When it breaks out, you're looking for the breakout, the retest, and the continuation. And these all should be like, I think, I remember seeing in Steven's videos, he had a video about how to trade flag patterns. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing that. So that's what I wanted to cover with you. Now, do you want to go back and see if you can recognize some more patterns or patterns that you want to ask me about?
I have a question on if I can share my screen, if everyone's okay with that.
Yeah, let me stop sharing and you can share your screen.
Okay. So do you see my trading view?
Yep,
Okay, so here we have double high, right?
yep.
Came up there. So first question here, because like Steve's thing, this is an engulfing candle. Would you, you had said usually a couple candles then on the 5 minute. Would you have gotten in somewhere here, or would you have waited for a pullback here to get in as it was going up here? Because here you could say maybe there was some double lows too, I don't know.
Yeah, but that would have been iffy for me on a 5 minute candle. That would have been iffy. If
Okay.
I saw that pattern on a 1 hour, I would have been tempted to get in.
Okay, so what about here where it comes up and it comes down,
I would have been definitely interested in buying there.
and here when it
That
passed
candle,
this high,
that green candle, I would have been all over that.
this one here?
Yeah, because look at my structures. I'm in an uptrend. I'm expecting to form a higher high.
Okay, so you get up here and this starts coming down,
Yeah.
and then this is an engulfing candle off of that little one.
Yeah, and it actually broke structure there.
Okay, so that's what you're talking about, broke structure. So this is no longer
So
a
I'm no
higher,
longer,
two higher highs, right? No,
yeah, I'm no longer in a structure that I recognize.
okay, so this would cancel out, so there's not two tops here.
So you still have two tops, and that's significant in itself. So I would have been waiting for a pullback on that move down. No, over to your right some more. Right in there. I would have been, all right, that's where it formed a double top, right? Then I get the engulfing candle down. Stacy Birch would have taken that trade all day long.
Here before it broke this low?
Yeah, he would have gotten in on that engulfing candle.
Well, like after it went down below here
Yeah,
somewhere?
when it formed the double top. Because Stacy only trades from the extreme. So now follow that all the way down to the bottom to your lower support line. See that
Okay, so
see that engulfing candle there?
yeah, that's where I put my arrow. So if you saw this come down, this is, would you consider this by this line, the bottom here or not?
Yes, I would. And that engulfing candle, I would have taken that buy all day long also.
So when would you have taken the buy here? When it broke here or when it finished up here?
At the completion of that first candle.
This one.
Yeah.
And then you would have taken it there and it kind of pushed down a little and keeps going up. When you see this red one here, is that showing you it's probably going to go down because this came back or not really?
It did. And if you take a look at that entire structure, all right. Yeah. Now follow that down. When keep following it down until it bottoms out.
Here?
No, there's a
Here?
green right there. All right. I may have been interested to see if it was going to go back up one more time and try and test that top. So I may have been interested in taking a buy on that green candle.
Right here, yeah. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's so big.
And guess what? My stop would have been below that candle, and I would have been stopped out on that trade. That would have been a loser for me, but that's okay. Even losers tell me something, right? Even the losers tell me, all right, I formed a lower high. I'm going to wait for a place to start selling them.
Mhm.
So the
So you would
secret-
have bought in here at the stop of this candle,
I would have bought in there in a heartbeat.
and you would have had your stop here.
Yep,
Okay, so once, like here, because you would have lost and I would have lost there too,
yep.
whatever. So once we see this engulfing candle coming down,
Now keep following that down.
would you have waited to get down here to see the testing, or would you have considered this a test here?
I don't know what I would have done, to tell you the truth. Because now I'm in this move down, I'm in a falling knife.
Mhm.
And I usually don't jump in. If I would have gotten in, do you see where that little blue box is at?
Yes,
Yeah. If I would have hit
that's
the
my
sell,
flag to ask.
if I would have hit the sell button there, my stop would have been clear above the swing high, higher yet.
Up here?
That would have been, and so I may have gone in and said, I'm willing to risk $200 or $300 because I think it's going to move on down, but I'd have to see how many pips away my stop loss is. So maybe I'm in this trade for $10 a trade instead of $50 a trade.
So what is a falling knife?
A falling knife is when there's just no pullbacks. I mean, you normally see a high and a low. A falling knife is it's just in one solid drop without a pullback.
Mhm. Does this say anything where it's going like every couple candles, green, red coming down?
Yes, it's a creeping trend.
Mhm.
But there's a couple things to confirm. You got a cross of your moving averages. You got good angle on your moving average. That tells me that the trend is strong going down. But then it bottoms out, and I get a double bottom.
Here's the double bottom, yeah?
Yeah. Now it breaks that top.
So here, this would come down, so you're waiting, even though this is an engulfing candle there, sort of.
Yep.
You're waiting for it to come up and
Yep.
make form a top somewhere. Right? Wherever that's gonna be, and then come down again.
And I'm
And-
expecting it to break that bottom. And when it gets to the bottom, it never goes below that bottom.
So here you wouldn't get in at all because it hasn't broken this top yet, right?
Yeah, I haven't formed a structure yet, Tracy.
Okay. And
No,
so as,
Now I'm in consolidation. And my moving averages look like a bowl of spaghetti. And here we are for right now.
okay,
And this happens towards the end of this happens during the Asian session. You get a lot of this during the Asian session. That's why I don't like to trade, from 8 to 10.
at night?
Yeah, at night. Now, there's an interesting structure right there. The best
Here?
place to, no, move to your right. See that big engulfing bar off the bottom? That would have been very interesting. Even though the structure wasn't formed, your extreme, see where you got your blue line, which is a beautiful place. That's an extreme. So if that blue line on the bottom is an extreme and the blue line on the top is an extreme. Yeah, so those are your extreme highs and lows, not your intermediate. Those are your extremes, right? Your best trades come off of the extremes.
Mhm.
So that big engulfing candle off that bottom there would have been very tempting to me.
Mhm.
And it comes down to risk management. I would have taken the trade off that engulfing candle. I would have taken that. It may not have been done coming down yet, and my stop loss would have been below that blue line, right?
Mhm.
And I would have been willing to take that risk,
Mhm.
right? Because you don't know. It's really easy to look at these charts after they've already printed and say,
Yeah.
well, here's what I would have done. There's some risk in this, but it's the patterns engulfing bars off the tops and bottoms are pretty tempting.
Well, right here, you wouldn't have really guessed what was happening yet, except for that went up and was coming down, because there really isn't much there, is there?
But when it broke that cluster there, with an engulfing bar and it broke that cluster, I would have been in on that too.
Right here?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
But those are riskier trades, you know, and I don't want to cover riskier trades. I can tell you, I would have been in that move. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And where would my stop loss have been?
Here?
Yep.
What about this engulfing candle?
All right. That would have been, no, I would have needed to see more on that.
Where it comes
That
up
when
and
it broke-
down and,
When I got all those wicks on the bottom there and it went higher, I may have been tempted.
uh-huh. But just because this candle broke out, like
Yeah.
this one you said broke out of that, this one kind of did from here too, didn't it?
Yeah, but it did. But you're at the very extreme bottom there, right?
Yeah.
Extreme tops, extreme bottoms. I'm really interested in extreme tops and extreme bottoms in an engulfing candle.
Well, and that's what this one would have been.
Yep, exactly.
So Frank, if we could talk just a second about the risk management. So let's just say we did that. Oops, I was going to use your chart, Tracy.
Oh, okay, I'll come back then. I thought you were gonna do something else.
No. So thank you for looking at that last one you were just looking at that you said you might have done. Where was that red engulfing candle?
Well, this
That
one
one right
or this one here?
All
Yeah.
right, let's do that one. So you place the trade and now you're like, okay, you would have decided first where you're going to put your stop loss, and that would be
Right up
maybe at the
here.
top there. Okay. So how many pips is that, Tracy, from where you would have come into that point? Is that where you would have bought in, Frank, or
No,
down at the
I
bottom?
would have bought it at the close of the candle.
Yeah, so that right there. Okay. So
And
that's-
a little bit more than that, because you can get railroad tracks too, which is a move that goes exactly the opposite direction and it's just as big. That's a set of railroad tracks.
So 15 pips, that's pretty big as
Yeah.
far as risk.
Yeah.
So you would have, does sometimes the amount of stop loss risk dictate whether or not you're going to take the trade? Because now you're thinking to make that money back, I need to make 15 pips down.
Well, yes, I don't. Oh, yeah. So if it would have gone against me, right, and formed a new high there, Lori. So first of all, I get that big red candle, right?
Right.
I would never have let it gone to my stop loss.
No,
Yeah.
well, I'm saying, okay, but now
But
it's
your
going in your
tape-
favor.
tape
You've,
coming down
yeah, so your
and you
tape
didn't hit it here.
and you would have lost. So what I'm saying is there at some point where you would have said, you know what, I'm gonna, instead of having a 1-to-1, I'm gonna take what I got.
Yeah,
Even though-
absolutely. I take
So when
what I
you saw
get.
this going up, would you have gotten out somewhere here?
No, I would have gotten out on the face. Take those 3 candles there. The momentum is over at that point in time. I would have taken my money no matter what it was, and I would have closed the trade.
At what
Okay.
point? Which candle here?
That whole little cluster of little candles down there. So I had the red candle, then I would have expected the next red candle. I would have been expecting more momentum. Right, yeah, so the next candle below that, do you see how small the candles are starting to become?
Yeah.
That means there's a lack of money coming into the market in that direction. That's exactly what that means.
Okay.
All right, so they're losing interest in going any lower. When the candles start getting choppy like that and they start getting real small and there's no
Then you-
direction, I would have taken my money there, but that would have been at least almost a 1-to-1 trade, Lori.
And that would have, no, it wouldn't be a 1-to-1. It'd be like
Well, go back.
it'd be a 0.75, which is fine. It's still a winner. That's
Yeah.
so that's still good. So that's the thing I'm trying to get my mind around. It isn't really just set it and forget it. It's set it and watch it. So
On
that's
5-minute candles, yeah, you better be
Okay.
sitting there and watch. This is not like a 4-hour chart.
right. Okay.
Where 15 or 30 pips one way or the other is just a wick on a candle.
Okay. So once you see the writing on the wall, just because you're thinking, oh, well, it could still go lower. It's like, no, get out, take your 10 pips and be happy.
Well,
and
that would have been 10 pips here,
Yeah, that's good.
right there.
yeah,
And so on a 5-minute chart,
But
is it
no,
better
no,
to
no.
maybe just go for smaller amounts of pips and just kind of get like, 5 to 10 at a time and just kind of accumulate the
that's
the
what,
win?
that's what a scalper does, Lori. That's
Okay.
exactly what, that's scalping the market. That's exactly what scalping is.
So regardless of your stop loss being 15 pips, you'll take 5 or 10 and just do the next trade.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it candle by candle. Is it starting to form little candles and the momentum is completely stopped going down? Even if I only picked up 5 pips, I probably would have just taken the 5 pips. Now let's continue this chart. We formed a base. You can see where we had a flag pattern, right? In this case,
Where is the thing on here to make boxes? Anybody know?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
It's
know.
over that paintbrush. If you, to the right of it, rectangle.
Rectangle.
Tracy, are you in a paid version of, what is this called?
No, I'm not.
This is, okay, just.
Now,
curious.
Tracy's eking out every free thing out of
Every
it.
freebie available. Good
I,
job.
I want to stay right here. Let's take a look at this flag pattern. Do you see the flagpole coming down?
Yeah.
Tracy drew the flag. You see the flagpole.
Well, I'm trying to find that thing to draw again. Where is it?
Right there, the square.
Oh,
Right there.
oh, so it switches when you're doing it. Okay.
All right. Now, you would expect it to break down lower, right? Because it's a flag pattern.
Yeah.
But what do I have here? What I did is I formed a higher low than the previous low.
Here, from here?
Yep. So on a longer term time frame, maybe an hour time frame, this was just forming the lower or the higher low than the previous low. So really that the whole flagpole flag pattern was just the retracement on the overall move. Can you see that?
Not sure what you're talking about.
All right. You see where your flag is at?
Yeah,
That formed a low.
yep,
Where was your previous low?
down here,
There you go. That's a higher low than the previous low, right?
right?
So if I'm in a 1 hour or a 4 hour uptrend, which direction is it going to go?
Up.
There you go. And that's exactly what it did.
All right, I'm
Oh,
confused
because on a
now.
longer one, this is gonna be just a little bip in there.
That's good. Yeah, that's going to be that's recognizing what your higher time frames are doing. Because keep in mind, this is a 5-minute chart.
So flag patterns, normally, if it's a higher time frame, are indicating it's going to continue in that direction of the flag. But in this case, it's not because it was a 5-minute chart.
Yeah.
That gets confusing to me. Because I understand the higher time frames for overall direction. So if you see a flag pattern on a 5-minute,
And Tracy or Lori, that's what's tricky about the 5-minute and the 1-minute charts. All right.
yeah.
On a
Well,
5-minute,
here's the 1 hour one.
yeah. And see, on 1 hour, I'm just simply in consolidation. But go to,
Here's that flag.
yeah. And that actually formed a higher low than the previous low.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So when you see something, we're on this 1 hour, you see this huge march up to the left. There you go. If you drew a flagpole on that, on the 1 hour chart,
So would
That
this be a flagpole even though it's crooked?
yeah. And then that whole consolidation period would have been a flag up there.
Yeah, okay.
So you would expect it on the higher time frame for it to break to the high side, right? So on a 5-minute chart, Lori, if I'm expecting my 1 hour to break out of the top, I shouldn't be surprised that it took out the top on the 5 minute.
Okay.
Mari, you're pretty quiet over there.
I'm here. So can we just have a quick look at the Euro Australia dollar
Yeah,
on the
You'll-
5 minute?
I can stop screen share and Frank can bring. his
all
up.
right, go ahead and then I'll share my screen again.
Nice charting, Tracy.
Tracy,
Thanks.
you're getting,
Yeah,
Tracy, you're getting to be a really good chartist. You're getting to be,
really. Yeah,
All
it
right.
looks really good.
so Mari, what was that again?
So Euro Australian dollar?
Euro Australia.
Where do you find the boxes on this one, Frank? I couldn't find them here either.
Right, you have to add it to your drawing tool.
I see it on the right, Frank, maybe third from the right, at the top, beside the text box.
Oh, you're talking about two different
Are
things.
you
He's-
talking about the drawing tool?
Oh,
Well,
sorry.
he already added his to it. I haven't added one. I don't know.
It's right here in my drawing tool. And if it's not in there, you can right click and customize. And then you can add
Oh.
like this to your, and then these are what's on your toolbar.
Okay, I'll see.
All right,
if
so let
she
me
can-
find the Euro Aussie.
Mhm. On the 5 minute chart?
Yeah, I gotta find the Euro Aussie there.
Oh, okay, sorry.
You'd think they'd let you type it in.
Yeah, that's what's hard for that one too. You can't do that as easy.
Or alphabetize it at least.
Yeah,
Tracy, your trading view setup is awesome. I thought you were on a paid version.
No, and it's really, the only thing that you really can't, I don't think, do with it with that is, you can't do the,
if you see it anywhere over
Replay.
here, if you see it anywhere
Um,
over here, let me know if you see
Yeah,
it.
so, okay,
Yeah.
right there.
Where?
Right, where
Right
you
below
are
the
right now.
blue one,
Yeah, one down from where you are on the blue.
from where it's highlighted in blue.
Yeah.
Go
Oh,
up,
all right.
right there.
All right, this is
Okay,
an automatic.
So then on the 5 minute chart. Yeah, see that kind of like, the
Gigantic candle.
huge, yeah, that huge jump.
Yeah, there may have been a news at 8:30. The reason that I have the Aussies, New Zealand's, and Japanese is it moves at 8:30 at night. So you have this. So let's take a look at this structure.
I mean,
want-
would you be tempted to make a move, like, based on that sort of?
Yeah, on this time, I'm not tempted to trade at this time of night. That if I were going to, I would be tempted to buy
Okay,
with a target of at least here,
right.
which is another 26 pips. It would be a good move.
Okay,
Yeah, but my stop loss would be 60 pips down. That's,
oh, okay.
so I have a 60 pip and I say, all right, I'm willing to risk $500. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So then I go to my calculator and say 500. For me, general is close enough, divided by 60. I would be in at one lot. I would get in this trade at one lot.
Okay,
At
interesting.
that point at the end.
But Mari, you did identify the structure. Now, basically my structure is this could be, there's my high, this could be a lower high than this high at this point in time.
Would that be a good place to draw your Fibonacci?
Yes, and I would draw the Fibonacci on the last swing.
And what's the Fibonacci gonna tell you here?
All
It
right,
just gives you more areas of what it might bounce off of or push through. Like
Which
probability.
Fibonacci is that? I saw here on the Fibonacci, there's two different ones.
Fibonacci retracement. Would you like a really quick lesson in Fibonacci's?
Well, I only see, yes, I would. Fibonacci, time zones, fan, arcs, expansion, channel.
You're a glutton for punishment.
The first one.
All right, so,
Time zones?
Yes, yes, sir. I'll take another spanking. Thank you.
all right. At this point in time, I'm in a downtrend structure. Would we all agree?
Yes.
Yes.
There's my high, there's my low, there's my high. All right. Fibonacci's, I'm going to draw a Fibonacci from, you draw Fibonacci's on swings. All right, so here was a swing low. I draw my Fibonacci from the high to the low. And if the pullback,
You gotta mute.
is less than 38 before it starts moving down again, then it's got about a 90% chance of breaking this, going ahead and breaking this low. The continuation. If it comes up, it will also bounce off the 61.8. So usually if it's going to reverse, it will reverse at the 61.8 or the 30. If it reverses at the 38, you have a really good shot. This engulfing candle here would have been a winner.
Now, Frank, why did you draw the Fibonacci to that low versus the bottom low?
Because this, Lori, was my swing. I'm looking, it's called the retracement tool to try and give you an idea how far price is going to retrace. So there was my move, there was my retracement, and there's my continuation. The Fibonacci retracement tool is to give you an idea of how deep the retracement is going to be. So let's do another one. All
I
right.
guess I'm not understanding why you wouldn't draw it from the next bump down.
Because this swing ended right here.
Yeah, but what about the next swing?
Oh, this one here. All right. So then I would get, if I wanted to measure on the next one, oops. I would have done this, Lori.
Right.
And I'm way past the way past the 61.8, which once you get past the 61.8, your shot of at least coming up to the next high, of it continuing up here to form a double top is pretty good.
It's
If it's
stronger.
over
Okay.
what, 62?
If it goes
61.8.
above the 61.8, if it doesn't bounce off the 61.8, it's got a really good shot of at least forming a double top. And that's why I told Mari, yeah, that would be, I would think about that, but not at this time of night. But let's just do some more so you can kind of recognize. Let me get rid of this. And let me. So I'm forming higher highs and higher lows. What I want to know is how far back can it pull back before it continues. That's what the Fibonacci tool's for. So I would have measured this swing here. And this only pulled back to the 23. So there was a good shot. Eventually it pulled up to the 38. Eventually, and it'd been nice to see that, the 38, and then there was your continuation down.
You really want it at the 38, not just below it like at the 20 something.
Yeah, no, I want to, so as I'm getting my retracements here, I'm looking for engulfing candles. Now I may have looked at this engulfing candle and thought this was going to be the continuation. There's a set of railroad tracks right there. So once this candle closed, I want to see it break this, and I had this little wick here and then I got an immediate reversal. So I probably, if I had gotten in this trade, then I started to see this immediately not going any further, I would have just cut the trade short. But when it hit the 38, then I got an engulfing candle.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm expecting it to go lower than this, right?
Right.
I'm expecting my trend to continue because it's been in a downtrend. So 38, or if it would have come up to the 61.8, I would have had to see more price action. I wouldn't have just taken, I don't take just an engulfing candle off the 61.8. The 38 to me is golden. If it doesn't go higher than the 31.8, like I say, the chances of the continuation of trend are huge.
Now, Frank, would you ever do a Fibonacci on a higher time frame and then use it to view on your 5-minute chart or your 15-minute chart?
Absolutely.
Good question.
I'm awake. Coffee's kicked in.
All right, so let us, in general,
I like the white and yellow.
so here was a swing on a 4-hour time frame.
So if it's going up, you start at the bottom and go up.
You
And
always go from the left to the right. So if on the left-hand side is the high, you drive from the high to the low.
But if you're drawing an uptrend, you do the opposite.
Yeah, so you're always drawing it from your left to your right, and you click on the bottom and drag it to the, you encompass the entire swing. Now take a look at this one. This is on a 4-hour time chart. All right, where did it pull back to?
The 38.
Exactly. This engulfing bar on a 4-hour chart would have been a winner. And I'm expecting it to go higher. All right, let's take some.
But if it only came down to midway, like Tracy said, like say the 30, if there was a line for 30, that would be very kind of not encouraging. It wouldn't be a strong enough
No,
pullback.
the shallower the pullback, the higher the probability it's going to continue higher.
so going
Shallower.
up like this, it would have to be above the 38, right?
So it had this pullback started here, or it came down to the 23, and then I got this engulfing candle, I'm almost guaranteed I'm going to get a higher high. So the lower the pullback, but generally they'll try. I don't know if it's a math formula they have or not, but generally this is profit taking. It's like they take a third of their profit off and then they continue it.
All right, let me repeat that. The shallower the pullback, the higher the probability. What was the rest of the sentence?
That it's going to go up.
Yep, the trend is going to continue. So Fibonacci's are usually only good if you're in a trending situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is a perfect example, all right? So now let's take the next one, all right? I did form a higher high, so I'm going to draw the Fibonacci from here to here. All right, it pulled down to the 61.8 before I got the engulfing candle. But 61.8 is no guarantee that you're going to, if it's 38 and 23, it's almost guaranteed to form another high.
But if it only had pulled back to the 23, you would
If
have.
it had only pulled back to here before you got an engulfing candle, just the engulfing candle is going to almost be a new high for you.
Okay. But so my other question though is, would you draw a Fibonacci on a 4-hour, leave it stay on the chart and go down to a 5 and use those as lines of?
No, there's too big of a differential in the price.
Okay, so you wouldn't leave it as a line of support like you would normally
Yeah,
draw.
like when I'm drawing my 4-hour support and resistance lines, Lori, they show up on my 5-minute chart, right?
Right.
So I would have on my 4-hour chart, this would be a significant, this line would show up for me on my 5-minute chart.
Right.
Because I know I've got 4-hour support here.
Mm-hmm.
So when I drop down to my 15-minute, I may not be able to find it. because that was a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's so far back, I have to scroll all night to go find that again.
All right.
But that, let's say it was right here. Let's say I had 4-hour support right here, Lori. That is where the 4 hours going to want to bounce, right? So on my 15-minute and 5-minute, you know, if I get the bounce, I would get this bounce long before I would see that it's a bounce on the 4-hour chart. The 4-hour price follows the 5-minute. Let me explain to you what that means.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you need to have many 5 minutes to equal
Yeah,
4 hours.
the 5-minute or 50-minute chart is going to be making about 4 or 5. It's going to be making 4 or 5 waves in one 4-hour candle.
Okay, I guess I was just trying to think if the Fibonacci lines were on, let's just say the 1 hour, and then you went and looked at the 15-minute, would they be helpful in seeing?
Yeah, they would be.
Okay,
They would be.
they would be like more confirmation of
Be more
support,
confirmation.
resistance
Yes.
lines and where to place stop losses and.
Yes, they would.
All right.
Lori, where did you find, like, where did you learn your basic, like the basic understanding of the Fibonacci tool?
I took a $5,000 course on Fibonacci trading.
I know, that's why I was asking Lori.
No, Frank
But you-
had this
Oh,
same
that's right.
training maybe like 3 weeks ago, and he's redoing it,
Okay.
which is, I mean, God
Right.
bless you, Frank. You repeat yourself for us, and I'm so grateful
Wow.
because it's that repetition
That's
that gets it
amazing.
to stick. But he showed me one time, and then I went and played with it on the trading view, and I'm like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah,
And I
it's
saw it before, but I didn't know what it was for, you know.
Yeah. Is it in one of the recordings or no?
No, I've just started doing the recording, so I'm recording this one tonight. And I'll
I
put
might
that,
have it in the Dropbox. Let me check.
Yeah, if you have that one, share that specific one. I listened to Steve's on one, but I think Frank said that was more on the 4-hour where he had the 38.2 hammer thing.
yeah, Stephen does this on a 4-hour candle.
Yeah,
Well, here's your candle, right? And this is a 4-hour candle. He'll draw a Fibonacci just on this candle.
well, I haven't seen that. I just saw the one where he had the hammer one and he drew it, and if the head was above or below, depending on which way it was
Well, here, let me do-
going, then
Yep.
that was his thing.
Here's his thing. All right, so here is the candle.
Yeah, you covered it on September 14th.
And there's the width, right? So he'll draw a Fibonacci from here to here. And if the wick is a 38, that's what he teaches. So if in your Fibonacci, your 38 level is right here, the chances of it going higher are just like on the whole chart. The chances are if the wick is a 38 or less, that your next candle is going to be higher.
Huh, I hadn't seen that one.
I've watched so many videos, it's hard for me to remember who I watched them from.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that was a Steven video.
Do you do anything, or is it any, what's the word in English? The hammer candle where it has a tiny little candle and then the big long wick, either up or down. Do you do
This-
any?
This is a continuation. This is a hammer. No, this is a hangman. They call this a hangman. It's almost like here's his head and he's hanging from a rope. All right. And this is a hammer. All right. It's a little
I thought
straighter.
you showed it both ways, and one would say it's going up and the other would say it's going down.
This is price rejection. So it tried to come down here and the buyers pushed it all the way back up. This is a continuation that price is probably going to go higher. A hammer, price tried to go up and it was pushed up. This this is a indication that price is going to continue lower.
Because
But once again, all of
he
these,
had us measuring.
well,
of it.
these type of candle patterns.
Measure the whole.
Let me finish this. If you see these
Yes.
candle patterns on 4-hour charts or
above
daily
or
charts,
below, then that's a
they're
sign.
really significant, but not so much on a 5-minute chart.
I think we're having some delay.
Okay.
Anything else for tonight?
I just had a off question on your charts. I see
I'm
you have,
good. I think that's
some dollar, like US dollar, different amounts, 100, 500.
Yes.
Are you trading that or are you using it as an indication of something?
Uh,
The US 100 cash, US 30 cash?
I use them to kind of see what the U.S. stock market's going to do.
All right, that's what I
It's
thought.
however, Bob loves trading it, and they move so many pips in a day if they're moving that there's money to be made there. I've just gotten, Lori, where I'm scanning through my charts. I basically just do this. What do I see a pattern I like?
Right, yeah.
Because I can make as much money on the euro as I can on the S&P 500. Because guess what? The S&P 500, I'm in at $5 a point because it's going to move 500. It's going to move, 100 points in a bar. So I got to be, and I could be on a euro. I could be on $50 or $100 a point. So I'm going to make as much money on the euro as I do on the S&P 500. What's important to me is what I'm trying to teach you guys tonight is recognize the structure. That's what tonight was all about for me. Is as you go through your chart, see if you can recognize the structure.
It's really like fishing. You're waiting and waiting and waiting till you get that little reaction, and then you're like, okay, I'm ready. We're ready to reel it in.
Yeah, and sometimes when you log, and that's why the trading hours, you're going to get the structures form at 8 to 10 at night. Not so much so for the Asian, unless there's Asian news like there was that one night. But I said, girls, I'm trading in New Zealand at 9 o'clock tonight, right?
so
unless there's-
tomorrow you're looking to trade because of some news too in the morning, yeah?
Yeah, tomorrow we have inflation numbers come out tomorrow at 8:30.
Oh, how wonderful.
Well,
That
Will
is
it pretty much impact all currencies or just USD and?
Well, any pairs to the US.
yeah, any pairs of the USD because inflation if you're trading the Australia Canada, it's going to affect those prices because everything's kind of based around the US dollar as a base currency. But you'll not see the kind of movement that you'll see in USD pairs. And
Okay.
then 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon is another major news announcement. All right. This is the federal bank's meeting, what they discussed at the last central bank meeting. And when these meeting minutes come out, they're talking about what are we going to do about inflation? Well, maybe we need to ease up on the quantitative easing in November. If they say that in the meeting notes, you're going to see a lot of movement at 2 o'clock also.
Oh, okay.
And that is the reason that the last couple of days have been so narrow range days, because these are big announcements coming up tomorrow.
So people are waiting to decide what to do.
So nobody wants to make any major moves before it comes out.
And when you say nobody, you don't mean like little guys like us. You
I mean
mean
the banks. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the hedge funds and stuff. I'm going to share something else with you about the news tomorrow. All right. Usually before the news, and this could be a couple of days. I mean, the market is up and down and it's just all over the place. All right. Maybe 7 o'clock tomorrow, usually an hour or 2 hours before the news announcement, you'll see it make a direction. All right. And you say, oh, when the news comes out, it's going to go down. what the big banks are doing is they're all these contracts that are in here, they're stopping everybody out. They're getting them to get out of their contracts because they're getting themselves in a position. If they start doing this before the news announcement, generally what they're doing is getting themselves in where they can get a better price when the news comes out. Does that make any sense?
Well, we saw
Right.
that happen last time.
They start making the move before the news comes out because they want to get the best price they can. And then when the
Trying to
news
flush
comes
it
out, you get this.
Yeah.
And then there's profit taking, all right? And you may get a lot of this type of stuff. And then it sets a low. And about an hour after the news, you'll start getting your daily direction. And Sean Lucas said, if you draw a line at your peak high and your peak low from the news announcement, if it breaks either one of these, it will usually drift the rest of the day in that direction. So if it takes this out, it's usually going to start drifting higher. If it takes this out, which is what happened on the New Zealand thing, came down here and it sat, and I came in and made my $350. But if you followed the rest of the night, it eventually made another 40 pip move this direction. And then it tanked.
So when we get on tomorrow, then that news will have been over by an hour. So we should really see.
Yeah, so we should have an interesting morning tomorrow morning at 9:30 to see what it does. But we will certainly discuss the news announcement tomorrow at 9:30.
Very cool.
Yay, thank you. I'm gonna say goodnight.
Yep.
Hi, Mari.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah,
especially
thank
for-
you. Blessings on your tests.
Thank you. Thank
Frank,
you
can
for
you
sharing
stop
your
the-
wealth of knowledge.
Can you
Right.
stop the recording? I wanted to.
Yeah,
say
that's what I'm looking for doing that now. So